Jake? I care about. All right, hey guys, this is Tate. I just wanted to kind of set up 2022. I know I've already put a couple of videos out already and stuff, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to bring my little minions in. So this is Morgan, we call her Mo, and this is Jacob. And we call him several different things and stuff, Bubby, and a couple other nicknames, right, buddy? And so, but I just wanted to kind of set the tone for 2022. I do this for a lot of fun. As you guys know, I try to have as much fun whenever I go out on my creeks and fishing and my ponds and things like that and everything. And I try to take these two along. And I've got an oldest daughter. She's 21, but she's busy with college and work and everything. But I just want to introduce you guys to my kiddos, just to let you know that this is the main reason why I'm doing all these videos. I don't care about the money, don't care about much other than just letting these kids look at these 20 years from now and laughing at their old man and everything. But I thought I'd introduce you guys to my two little ones, and then my big one, I'll get her on one of these videos in the future at some point in time and stuff. Phoebe, my oldest, she's 21. But I thought I'd introduce you guys to my kiddos and then kind of show you what I'm going to do for 2022 and go from there. So, but I'm going to let these two guys go eat their dinner, and they'll meet you at some other time if you want to do some videos, right, Morgan? Yep, because Morgan really wants to be in my videos. Jacob, not so much, but
I
Morgan,
like going
yes.
trout fishing with you.
Yeah. Jacob likes to go trout fishing with me at Bush Wildlife while we catch him on the ice. He likes to do ice fishing, right? And Momo, she likes to catch him on the bluegills, right, and the bass when we do bobber fishing and everything. But when we do creek fishing, they just haven't got old enough yet to do that yet, right? Yeah. So, okay, you guys can go eat your dinner. I'm gonna do some more of my video, okay?
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, Jacob and Morgan. All right, so guys, I thought I'd just kind of set up 2022 a little bit more. Got some ideas from other guys on how to do these videos that just kind of intro the year and let you know what my goals are and why I'm doing this. And thank you for some of the things you guys have said to me. Because I know I get excited in some of these videos and sometimes you forget certain things, which I'll talk about. So last year I had a goal of one video a week. I think I made 40 or so videos, so I was close to that. In the dead of winter, you don't really get a lot of activity on YouTube videos, and unfortunately that's just because of the nature of the beast when you're fishing in creeks and rivers. And the ponds may be frozen, may not be frozen. I don't think you guys would probably want to watch me catch trout fishing in the ponds I usually go fishing, because that's rather boring and I'm just sitting there watching a bobber all the time and everything. So I'm mostly active from probably mid-February up to about mid-December. So there's only about a month or two that I'm not really pushing out a lot of videos, but most of the time I'm pushing out, try to get one a week out. I'm going to try to get more than that though in 2022. I want to try to at least get out two. And one video might be a fishing video. The other video might be doing something like this, where I'm trying to just kind of talk you through something that I'm doing. I'm actually going to talk you guys through. I'm going to try to get out tomorrow. I know it's supposed to rain tomorrow, unfortunately, but I'm going to try to get out there anyway, because the last 2 days have been beautiful sunny days. But I've been just so busy with the kids and the wife, I just haven't got a chance to get out. And that's always the fun thing about this, right, is that when you do get out, you kind of get to reflect on life. And that's one of the things I also wanted to say about today is the reason why I do this. So I already mentioned earlier, I do this for my kids mainly, because 20, 30 years from now, I'm hoping YouTube's still around, and it most likely will be, but that way they can look at these videos and one, learn from them, and two, just remember their old man doing something that he loves, and being able to share the knowledge that he gained over the years being a kid and as an adult now. I'm 50 years old, and so I'm not looking for this as being a moneymaker or anything like that. It's awesome when I get subscribers, because mainly I really like getting subscribers for one main reason. It's just to meet people. It's been really cool being able to talk with folks I've never met before, that have a passion with life as well as fishing. And got to meet a guy, Chris. He lives just a few miles west of me and has been great to hang out with and fish. David, who's one of my best friends and brother for life. I've known him for a long time. His daughter and my daughter are besties, and so I've got to really do a lot of fishing with him. And then my old friend's son and other guys have been trying to connect up with me, and I apologize. It's just family life, as you can imagine, having a 10 and 12-year-old it's hard, you know, because you're trying to split fishing between sports and what the wife wants you to do, and work, and the weather and everything else. Because as you all guys know, that creek fishing and small river fishing is rough, because if it rains, those things turn into mud pits and they're overflowing and things like that. It's April 10th here in Missouri, and unfortunately most of the creeks I usually fish are a bit up right now, and they're a little muddy because we've gotten so much rain consistently the last couple of weeks. So it's kind of up in the air if I get out to them. That's when I try to still hit my ponds. You've seen a couple pond videos I've done, and tried to show you guys what it's like to, you know, walk from the bank. I don't have a boat. I've got a kayak, which is actually sitting above me. And as you guys can see, the setup behind me, I actually spent most of the winter redoing my garage, and I could probably turn this thing around and everything, but most of the fun stuff on the fishing side's over here. And I just kind of did what a lot of the guys are doing, the old pegboard, and I've got up my wacky worm options, as well as some other baits I usually like to use in these smaller creeks. And I'll talk you through that here in a little bit, because I don't fish like a lot of the other guys do, mainly because here in Missouri, a lot of the creeks that we fish, the average is 3 to 5, maybe 6 feet is the attack zone. And you do have some that stay on the bottom, but most of them like it around that 3 to 5 foot area. And so you're not able to really fish your typical baits. Your big swim baits you can use in some of the bigger creeks and the small rivers, but most of the time I'm favoring wacky worm and maybe a small crankbait and a small spinner bait, mainly because you don't even count these things down. You literally cast it out there, maybe give it a second or two, and I'll show you the weights I usually use on the end of my hooks to kind of get it down into that sweet spot of that 3 to 5 foot zone. I do want to show you a couple things other than my rods. I've got this awesome backpack, and you've probably seen them on me before. My wife gets these for me, and they're perfect. This one's it's called Piscifun, Piscifun is the name of the company. And it's got a couple of, you know, pockets in the back, these long pockets, plus the camel pack in the back for drinking. And then it's got some pockets up front and plenty of zippers. And there's even some pockets on the inside. The amount of stuff I put in here, and I'll show you some of these here in a little bit, it probably weighs about 5 pounds by the time it's all said and done. So it's not too bad to put on the old back. And then, you know, I've got my walking, I'll show you the pack more here a little bit. And my typical walk-in shoes, I don't like spending a lot of money. I got enough money to put into between my 3 kids, my wife, and the house and everything else. I try to find good deals and use something for a few months or a year or so. These are Northsides. These are like Amazon specials. And so, but the reason why I like them is because they look pretty sturdy, and so far I've used them a couple times, and they really are good shoes so far. I like the old typical, you know, mountain climber type, you know, shoes. It's got the nice tread on them, and these were like $30. The reason why I don't want to spend a lot of money on them is because I want to trash them. These creeks and small rivers, I'm wading most of the time. I'm not a big kayaker yet. I'm going to try to get into kayaking. I've been waiting for my buddy David to finally get his kayak, and we're going to make some videos on kayaking. But for the meantime, we're walkers. I wade probably anywhere from 5 to, I mean, there's days where I've walked 10 to 11 miles. I'm a pretty active guy. I don't like to sit. I don't like to watch. I'm a mover and a shaker when it comes to fishing. So let's go back to the pack. You know, again, like I said, I've got several pockets in here. I've got a container. These are my jigs, all the usual jigs. I don't want to show you every one of them and stuff, but they're your typical jigs. I like these little Tupperware. If you guys know Tupperware containers from your wives or whomever, these are awesome to carry, you know, stuff in. I've got a couple of the old swim baits. I don't use these too often on the mag drafts. I use them when I'm fishing the bigger creeks and the small rivers I usually get to wade. And you might have seen me use these every so often, but I don't use them a lot. They're just the action I use. I'm using a lot of medium action rods, and as you guys probably know, these mag drafts, even if you use the heavier line, they're kind of hard to throw and retrieve on those. And then this is my special Tupperware. And I'm now a humongous Whopper Plopper fan. I've got some other crankbaits in there as well too, but this is mostly full of Whopper Ploppers, all different colors. And so most of them are the same size. They're that straight as, I don't know what the number is. I know this goes by number, but I really do like this size for creek because they're narrow and they're sleek, and they just go the right speed and the noise they create. I did a couple videos at the tail end of 2021, and you guys saw how in those smaller creeks, how they reacted. So, I mean, just think about it. I've got a couple Tupperwares in here already. I've got another Tupperware of small crankbaits. So I've got my jigs, I've got my Whopper Ploppers, and I've got my crankbaits all in Tupperware. And then I've got an extra thing of line in here. So do I need to carry all this stuff? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it just all depends on what's working in a hole, right? I mean, one of the guys refers to me as the Wacky Worm King. I will take that. Thank you very much. I do love my wacky worms, and that's where most of this is. I've got my scale, which I actually borrowed from my buddy's son Ethan. I will get this back to you, I swear to God. It's just I don't get down by his house very often, so in the meantime I'm going to use it. I've got, you know, again, all these little tiny containers. You know, these are the Ned Rig worms, and you know, you can put those in. I don't usually fish the Ned Rig style. I usually just use these on a wacky worm. I really like this presentation. It's the smaller 3-inch worm with a little tail. I like this one when they're finicky, and this is like, it's just amazing how I could throw a bigger wacky worm, a 4 or 5 inch, and throw that for hours on end and they don't hit anything. And then I start throwing this smaller presentation, and this is my favorite during the summer months. In the summer months, they just kind of seem to like want smaller presentations. In the earlier months, they might want to go for the bigger ones. Here we go, another one of these containers that what I found is find the ones that are waterproof. And I just got these on Amazon. You know, there's a few clips that you got here, and this is the box I found. I was getting, my hooks were rusting out on me. And this is a Whopper Plopper I've been using lately. It's a little bit fatter and bigger, but my buddy Chris made this one for me, and it's awesome looking. These guys nowadays have been making these and finding out they're obviously a few bucks cheaper. I mean, these are usually 10 or 11 bucks nowadays, and I think Chris said he made this one total for like 5 or 6 bucks with the time he put into it, but it's awesome. You know, the hooks I use, I like to use a longer hook, almost like a number 1 or number 2. Hopefully you guys can see this hook. It's probably about 1.5 inches long from the eye all the way down to the end, and you could probably see there's about a 1/2 inch gap there on that hook. I found that when I found that kind of a hook style, because I used to use this hook style, and see how it's narrower compared to the other hook style. And what I found is, it's a little bit wider, not by much, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. But what I found out is that I was able to not have as many pop outs. You know, when you probably see my videos, and here you go, I've already got my wacky worm set up with the old trusty color. That's the white with the silver flake, which has become my favorite color. Behind, blue with the silver flake. Both of those are phenomenal. But you'll see, I mean, it's almost like this bag, my wife did an excellent job on researching and finding this. This is probably one of the, you know, the trout fisherman bags, but hey, I mean, I'm using it for what I do, and even when I've got water in there, I don't even notice it. I start walking and I forget that it's on my back. You can kind of see the other worms I've got up here. I've got some I always forget how to French them. Hegemites or whatever they are. Those are ones that the other guys like using. I don't use them very often because, again, I don't really like using Ned Rigs. These creeks I fish are so shallow. That's one of my favorite colors right here. You guys have seen me use this color. That's that silver with the black flake, and it's got a light gray bottom on it. These are just stickos. You can get these from Bass Pro Shops for a couple bucks, and there's about, there's 16 in a pack, or you can get I've got the economy pack that they've got. And these are just their generic Bass Pro versions, and it's got like the bigger pack. This is the 64 pack, but these are those 3-inch ones I was telling you about. They call them the Sticko, and you can put them 2 different ways. You can put them on the end of a jig, like a Ned rig type style, or you can just do them like I do. I hook them sideways. I like to do that wacky worm style. I do the crankbaits too every so often, but I don't like using the crankbaits too often because, again, I'm fishing shallower water, and I just feel like I'm going to be cleaning weeds more than what I would really like, you know. And it just doesn't seem like, for me, considering the amount of miles I'm walking and the water I'm walking through, for me to be, you know, wasting my time. I usually get 6 to 8 hour windows, and I'm trying to really hit the holes where I know that the fish are at, not waste my time in between, and go from there. A couple other things, and I want to call it a day because I don't want to make this video too long. So how do I do this? So I'm actually, like I said earlier, I'm going to go tomorrow. Okay, I don't care if it rains or not. I think it's supposed to rain a little bit, but I'm optimistic, and I'm hoping it's not going to rain too much. I've just got a couple poles. I'm probably going to decide on which one I'm going to go with tomorrow. I got me a new one. This is a Quantum Bill Dance reel. I don't go crazy on my rods and reels. I'm not going to spend more than 60 or 70 bucks on a combo. Here's the reason why. Again, when you're on a creek, you're wading, you're sometimes climbing up and down the bank to get from one hole to another, or you're just, you know, you're putting this in the water sometimes because you're trying to do whatever. I just don't like wasting a lot of money. I'm not going to take a $200 rod and reel out on a creek or a small river wading. Now, when we start to kayak fish, I might probably want to spend a little bit more money if I know I'm going to be keeping this equipment out of the water or out of the environment. But because because I go through probably a rod or reel combo, I'd say every couple months, and I usually keep 2 or 3 in my truck, and they end up either getting banged up, or there's a lot of gunk that's in here that, you know, I just try to clean them out as much as possible, and it still doesn't, you know, they still don't work after a while and everything. But I mean, I could probably go to the more expensive ones. I just don't like to. This is probably what I'm gonna go to, is just a small little crankbait, because there's a hole I know that they're in. It's actually that one hole I was showing. I caught that 3.5 pounder I caught a week or 2 ago. I'm thinking they're held up in there. But if not, I'll end up going to a different presentation. So I keep a couple rods in my truck. That's a Quantum. This is that Mega Cast. This is that rod and reel combo. It's just a Bass Pro. I love Bass Pro's combo specials. Anybody that's new to fishing, you can spend $40 to $70 on a combo rod and reel like this, and it will serve you well for several months in the creeks and small rivers until you ding them up, like I usually end up doing, because I'm pretty active with them and everything. But these two seem like to me like they're going to end up doing pretty well for me. There are a couple of things I need to get me a pair of pliers. I forgot. I didn't have a pair of pliers in my bag. I need to put that in there. I don't carry knives in my bag. I know some guys do, just for whatever reason, to cut stuff and things like that. I don't seem like I really need it. I could use my pliers to do that. I've got that scale, which I'm borrowing. And then I could probably get me a tape measure. I gotta get me a small tape measure, because my buddy Chris is always giving me a hard time. He's like, dude, you need to get a tape measure, because I'm always estimating how big these fish are. And also too, thank you for the input on a couple of things. One, safety, but then also two, treating the fish, you know, as best I possibly can. Sometimes I get excited, and I may look like I'm tossing a fish in the water. Trust me, the videos look like I'm doing something that the normal fisherman typically doesn't do, and I don't. The times I do probably spend a little bit more time on is trying to measure them and things like that, which I'm going to try to have a tape measure and not have to do that kind of stuff. But it's as you can see, I've got so much stuff in my bag. It's like I got to keep all these different utility items in there, and I'd rather just try to, my goal is, and it's always been my goal, is to get that fish back in the water as quick as possible. But I still like to try to kind of take some admiration out of it and let you guys know what's the size of fish I'm catching, what kind of a species it is. And as you guys know, I'm usually targeting the bass fish. I really don't like to microfish that much, just because the amount of time I have. I mean, I'll microfish with my kids. I have no problem with taking them out bluegill fishing and small bass fishing, and like Jacob and I, he loves to go trout fishing with me and everything. Again, those are videos that that are slow, and plus they're with my kids. I don't really like to have videos of them too often on here and everything. You know, I mean, that's what I've got, you know, to show you guys today. I just want to kind of let you know who I am, and I live in the O'Fallon, Missouri area, which for you all know that it's a suburb, western suburb of the St. Louis area. Fortunate enough to where I would say within an hour to 2 hours of here, I've probably got a dozen plus places I can go to. I would love to live in southern St. Louis, down by Imperial or Arnold if possible, but my wife and I love living out here on the west side. We've got some great schools, and we just don't want to move from this area. But if I could live down in south where, you know, maybe Union, St. Clair, where I know a couple of the other YouTube guys all live, those guys are lucky. They're within an hour or two of some pristine water, and in some cases 15 minutes to a half hour. So, but I can still get to some of the northern creeks as well too, that they obviously wouldn't be able to get to. There's a few I've been trying to figure out. There's one in particular that's about an hour north of me that I've actually done pretty well on. It's just unfortunately that last year we had a bit of a drought in Missouri, and the water was rather low in that creek. I'm hoping that with the amount of water we've had the last couple weeks, that creek's back up again, because it feeds off the Salt River. And my buddy, the biggest smallie I've caught, I mean, we've caught in the last couple of years, he caught it was a 19, 20 inch smallie, but she was fat. It was spawning, and she was probably 4 some odd pounds. And so she was just a hog. And I think I got it on the video, one of my first videos that I posted and everything. So smallies are my favorite, but I have no problem with catching largies, and I love spots too. Spots just seem to be, since they're the hybrids of those two, that it's just, they're a little quirky, and they tend to fight the hardest, which is amazing. But they've got a unique fight that they've got to them that I really do like having. But you just don't catch that many of them being a hybrid. The largies, you know, I'm not targeting them as often, but I do end up finding them, you know. And I do want to mention something too before I forget, and I'm going to get off here. Creeks. A lot of the creeks that I'm fishing feed off of the Missouri, the Mississippi, the Merrimack, the Big River. Those are some of the central and eastern types of rivers that I've been fishing, and I can fish the other rivers too as well, and I'm going to try to start learning how to fish those, but again, that's in my kayak. There's a lot more south and west of me, but they're just too far drives, unfortunately. And I know you guys from the Missouri area know those creeks pretty well. But I found it's interesting depending upon the length of the creek. But most of the creeks I fish are 15 to 20 to 30 miles long. A lot of space to fish, right? I don't care about giving up these creeks, because at the end of the day, hey, you want to put in the work to walk those 15 to 30 miles, have at it. But I'm not hiding them. They're on the map, figure them out, go to them. I don't care, just don't trespass, okay? But getting the feedback on ruining spaces and places to go, sorry, but guess what? You know, there's plenty of room out here for the rest of us, and that's the one critique that I will not take. I'm sorry, I don't want to be an ass about it, but if you're going to be willing to walk your ass off like I do 5 to 10 miles a day, and you're worried about me ruining a spot that I may have fished or not fished in your area, then hey man, why is it that whenever I go out doing these walks on almost every day of the week that I've walked throughout the last several years, that I don't see anybody? I don't see footprints, I don't see garbage, thank God, because we're really good here in Missouri about not littering, and other things that, I mean, it's just, I don't think that people are out doing what I'm doing. I don't be an ass again about it, but it's just that, you know what, we're here, we got one chance at life, and I'm gonna fish every water I could possibly fish, and I'm gonna show my kids that and everybody I can on these videos. Google Maps is the way to go. And everybody's going to go where I'm going to go at some point in time. I just happen to be there when the fish are on, and I'm getting lucky in a lot of instances, but I'm also using my own skill. I'm having a fun time doing it. So if you want to complain about me showing spots, then oh well, that's your problem, not mine, but I don't care. I'm having fun, and my kids are going to enjoy these videos 20 years from now. You can keep giving me that feedback, but it is what it is. I'll get on my soapbox, but I wanted to tell you about these creeks, which is really cool. Off of these bigger rivers, what I found, a good chunk of the time when the fish come in and they go back out, those largies tend to stay closer to those bigger waters. And then you've got somewhat of a middle zone where you get into the spotted bass and a little bit of the smallies. And then obviously into the upper waters, it's mostly the smallies. So if you're targeting those three types of species, keep in mind on these creeks and rivers, at most of the time of the year, like right now, most of these creeks and small rivers, the largies are already set in. They're already there. This is April 10th, they're already there. Your spots and your smallies are also clumped in with them. So they're in that first phase. And I'm talking close to that big river, within 5 to maybe 6 miles, they're in there right now. They probably moved in there maybe mid to late March. And then around now you're going to be going to the second phase, and you're going to start to move into there. Now the largies and the spots may or may not continue on. They like to be in those deeper holes. They don't like to be in the shallow water like the smallies do. The bigger mamas in that second phase, they will start to spawn. They are already spawning here in the next couple weeks, and they'll hold up in that second phase. The third phase, and that's the cooler, almost spring-fed waters that are all the way up into these creeks and small rivers, and even in the bigger rivers, those are the summer spots. Those are the June 1st through September 1st type spots, and they're loaded up in those areas. And then they start to funnel back out. In September, they'll move into second phase, October third phase or first phase, and then they're out the door in November timeframe. November 1st, if you're getting any fish in these smaller creeks and smaller rivers, it's just because they're in deeper holes, and they don't come out of those till like darn near the first week of December. But I've walked most of these creeks now from literally from the very beginning of them all the way to the bigger rivers, and that's just the way that I found them. So just like you hear about the runs, you know, like the white bass and other types of fish like trout and things like that, these fish also migrate as well too, and that's really the time frame. So if you're wanting to get into creek fishing and small river fishing and you do the wading like I do, you have to time it right. You can't go in February 15th thinking in a smaller creek you're going to end up catching fish right off the bat. It's just not going to happen. You may catch smaller fish like bluegills or shads, but you're not going to catch the smallies. They don't tend to come in until the weather warms up a little bit. I like the 60-40 range, which is when the days start to be 60 and the nights turn to 40, that's when your smallies are going to start to come into those phase 1 and phase 2 areas. Then after that, they're up in phase 2 and phase 3 over the summer months for 4 or 5 months, and then they do the exact same transition out in September and October. So I've gone a little bit longer than what I was going to. I got on one soapbox with the whole ruining fishing positions, but I'm not going to falter from that. I'm staying on that position. It is what it is, and I hope you guys don't get too frustrated with that. But the amount of miles I put in and the places that I do end up going, I guarantee you're probably not going to find them anyway, because it's just, a lot of guys don't want to put in the time and the effort to walk out that far. So if you do, awesome, because these spots are great and they're a lot of fun, and there's plenty of fish to end up fishing for everybody. So, but yeah, I'm going to try to get to my kayak. It's right above us. I actually got ended up putting in a hinge up there and got it up there. I just don't have it positioned the way I want to, and I'm not going to show you about that and everything, but it's nice to be up there. And I've got my fishing poles over here, and that's where I've got that and everything. I don't have a lot of fishing poles that I use aside than the couple I usually carry in my truck, but these other ones are for when I do bigger bass fishing and the boat fishing. And then I just got away from that because boats are just insanely expensive, and living in where I live, it's a 2 to 4 hour drive to be able to fish quality water. And then I got a bunch of old cat fishing poles and the kids poles and things like that and everything. So but this is my little sanctuary. I just finished this project this winter. this was all unfinished in November, and now it's all finished, and it's pretty cool. I got my TV up there. My wife and I are she's a Kansas State grad, and I'm a U of I guy. I didn't grow there, but I lived about 30 miles away when I was growing up as a kid and moved to St. Louis area. And then I was in the Army, National Guard. You will not find me driving anything other than a Ford truck. Sorry, Chevy and Dodge guys, but there's my kayak. I got the kids' bikes up on the rack there, and we're sports people, so we got volleyballs and soccers and camping equipment. My son's a Boy Scout, my daughter's a Girl Scout, and there's my oldest daughter, Phoebe. She was a dancer. Now she's a college kid and working, and I play a little golf. So there's a lot of other stuff that I do. You know, my beer of choice is probably Busch Light, and my wife loves those IPA grapefruit kind of stuff, and I'm rather handy. I got my my garage all set up to where I can start doing some work out here, and this is kind of like my man cave, you know, area, and I've got my grill set up because my daughter's video helps me out with my lighting and everything, and got my storage racks up there where I keep all that stuff off the ground and all our landscaping. I'm sure you guys don't care about half this stuff, but I just wanted to, you know, introduce myself more and talk about a little bit of what I do and how I do it, and just kind of give you guys a sense of why I'm doing it and my goal for this year. So I'm gonna try to do 2 videos a week. They might be fishing, they might be a little bit learning. I want to go back to some of my videos and do some teaching moments. I really do value that, and I think a lot of people do as well too, as far as how I do what I do and when I do it and where and things like that. So, but thanks guys for watching this one. It went around a half hour, so hopefully it's not too long, but hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna try to get out tomorrow. It's April 10th, fish is on for the next 7 months. So hope to have some good videos, and hope you guys have a great rest of 22, and happy Easter next week. Talk to you guys later. Bye.